Good morning and welcome to my hobby bench. Let's do something a little bit different today. Maybe really not that different, but let's say it's going to be like a little series on an engine refurbishment. So what I've got on the table here is the engine that Chris from Perky Planes and RC just gifted to me. It's a nice little Magnum XL61RFS 4-stroke engine, and he had given it to me to be a test bed for removing and replacing camshaft bearings. But since I have some engine cases on hand from other people that are empty, they're not complete engines, I'm going to actually use this to kind of just do maybe just a little series. I don't know how many videos it'll be, probably not that many, on taking it apart, investigating it, cleaning it, reassembling it, and reinstalling bearings. So Chris had sent this to me. Now I just happened to notice the other day, I don't know when the video came out, if it was recently or if it's an old one, but he's been doing a series of shorts where he's just saying, let's look at the top of the piston of engines. And he's probably done at least a half dozen or more of those shorts videos. So I just happened to catch that he had done one on this engine. And so I kind of know what the top of the piston looks like already, but this engine is an engine that has no compression whatsoever. So that's going to be the first order of business, is investigating why this has no compression. Since the carburetor, or since the high-speed needle is not in here, I'm just going to begin by removing the carburetor first, because I don't like this thing. If I set it down, I don't want to keep setting it on that. So one of the things I really like about these little Magnum engines is exactly what I'm doing right now. The screws on the carburetor are not JIS. Well, this throttle arm is a little bent up. I'm going to have to do a little bit of work on that to straighten that out. They're socket head cap screws, which is nice because those silly JIS crosspoint screws from Japan are just so soft, and if you don't have the exact right head and right tipped screwdriver for the JIS tipped screwdriver, it's just very easy to strip those things out. So the one thing I neglected to do here was get my bin out to put parts in. So let me do that behind me real quick here and grab them. Okay, here we go. So let's start with those two screws and just pull this carburetor off here. Now see, this doesn't look right to me right away. Maybe it is. Maybe they have this set up so that, see how that's not really recessed, so the O-ring that was on here was just kind of sandwiched between there in the intake manifold. Maybe that's the way it was designed, but I've always seen carbs normally that O-ring is at least recessed in there, but it looks like that's just the way they've designed this, so we'll go with it, which is probably okay. So let's see here, no compression. So the next thing we're going to do here is remove the rocker cover and see if we have good rocker movement. So the reasons why you would have no compression on a 4-stroke engine, I'm actually going to be able to use this. The reasons you could have no compression on a 4-stroke engine are that valve lash is set too tight, is one of them, meaning that there's no overlap period where both valves are completely closed. So that could be one reason for a no compression situation. The other one could be that there's a valve stuck in the down position, and I've seen that many times with engines where a valve is just stuck down. So that's not the case here. Both of these valves are moving, and well, valve lash on this exhaust is way open. It's not a valve lash issue, because if you look, I'm going to bring this up real close here, both of these are way out. So I mean, they're just way out. So it's not a valve lash issue. So that leaves us with, let's remove the rocker arms completely now. I mean, these things weren't, they were actuating the valves, but they weren't actually at top dead center there. They were nowhere near touching. So in a situation where if you think the valve lash is wrong or whatever, just take the arms off, because that should keep these springs completely pushed up in a real world, in an ideal world. So we still have no compression. Both valves move properly, so maybe there's debris that's actually holding one of these valves open. Maybe there's a piece of carbon that's in there or something like that. Right now, this intake manifold is not doing us any good being here, so I'm going to go ahead and take it off. Keep grabbing the proper driver here. You got two different sizes. You got 2 millimeter screws and 2.5 millimeter screws on this engine. So another reason for lack or loss of compression could be that it's less likely, but that your spring is broken, or not spring, your piston ring is broken or stuck, completely compressed in the ring groove. Now that's a possibility, but I would like to think that I at least would feel a little bit of compression with that. So another reason you might have no compression would be that maybe a valve is bent, and that's not allowing it to seat properly. So right now I'm keeping closed because my finger is a good seal. Holding these, I feel air coming out the vent, but yet we still have no compression. Our valves are completely closed. So this is, getting more and more interesting. What is going on? So that's what we're here to find out. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just take the rear cover off next, just for the heck of it. Not that this is gonna reveal anything about the lack of compression. This has got all kinds of garbage in it. I took that out of frame because I didn't want to blow the dirt that was in there all over the table here. So the fact that there was dirt in that screw, that's an interesting thing. I'm starting to get a strange smell from this engine now. Yeah, it's got some kind of weird preservative oil in there, it would appear, because this is really odd. It smells familiar. It stinks like hell. I don't know what it is. I've smelled this smell before and I just can't identify what it is. It really stinks though. It's not any kind of Marvel product, I can tell you that. Marvel Mystery Oil product, because they just don't smell like this. Yeah, I don't know. That's like transmission fluid or some really garbagey smelling stuff. So yeah, it's a little dirty on the inside. Let's take this head off and see if we can see any other issues here. So I don't expect these to be super tight because Chris just took this head off. So this one was really loose. This one's really tight. Really tight. Very loose. Very loose. So we have 4 screws that were loose and one that was really tight. So I don't know what we're going to find here as far as loss of compression now, because of the fact that taking the head off. So there's our piston, as Chris revealed on his short. Now I'm going to go one little step further and say I'm going to do this. See how easy, you can't really get that off. Here's the underside of the head. Hard to tell from just looking at this whether we've got an issue there with a valve not staying shut. I'm thinking here maybe I should have left that head on there. I can put this head back on and use the exhaust header to test the compression. I think I need to do that. What I'll do is I'll blow in. Yeah, I didn't think about doing it that way. Let's just get the head back on real quick. No, I don't need the push rods on to do what I'm doing here. I do need the head to be lined up so that the screws go in it. Which I'm having a... Maybe it's because I don't have the right size bit. That'll always do it. So maybe the lack of compression was the fact that these screws were not all tight. I mean, I was just saying that only one of them was really tight, and that very well could have been the issue, that it was just cocking the head up and it wasn't seated fully. So now that we know that, we'll just run these down until they start making a little bit of contact with the head, and then we'll go and torque them. Okay, they're all making contact with the head. So I'm going to start here, torquing a cross pattern. And now I magically have compression. Very strong compression. That last little seal out of here. So the reason we didn't have compression was because of the screws on this head were not screwed down properly. And that's the whole reason for loss of compression right there. So I think this was the only screw that was actually tight. These others were loose. So there you go. And so there we found, I mean, that is not something that I would have ever anticipated, that you would just have screws that were not tightened as being the cause, but hey, there's a first time for everything. Because I was, operating under the assumption that, well, which is not a good assumption. No assumption is a good assumption. I was operating under the impression that all heads and all fasteners would have been tight. But no, this thing's got really, really nice compression now. Really nice. Okay, good. All right, so we've solved that mystery. So there's our reason for lack of compression. Now I can continue on with completely disassembling this engine. Mystery solved. Easy peasy. So this will be a nice running engine once I'm done with it. I do not know the history of this engine whatsoever. I know it's a used engine. I don't know that Chris ever ran it. I don't know anything about when, where, how he acquired this engine. If he ever ran it, if he ever used it, I don't know. If he ever had compression. That's the question that I will post to Chris. Is Chris, when you had this engine, did it ever have compression when you had it? That would be an interesting thing to know. There we go. I'm just going to kind of leave it like that for now. So now I think the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to go and take this cam cover off. Was there another seal anywhere? Okay. Let's see if we have any issues with the cam cover seal because I've had issues with these things in the last I don't know, 3 or 4 of these style engines that I've done. I've had issues getting these things off. They might turn and rotate, but they are not free to just come off. Oh, look at this. Bingo. Yay, look at that. Look how horrible that bearing looks. That looks pretty rough. Alright, so now let's see if we can get this cam follower out of the way. It is. So then this should just come right out. This thing just has the strange smell of, I think it's transmission fluid that I'm smelling. It's not a pleasant smell at all. Looks like this is gonna give me a little bit of a fit here. I'm sure that cam follower is up and out of the way. Yeah, it's not interfering there at all, I don't believe. Let me look again. Well, I don't know, maybe that cam follower is a little. Make it move this way at all. No, it's not stuck. It's movable. I just tapped it down. So yeah, that cam follower is not the issue. In fact, it should come out now with this magnet or this coaxing. It's right there. It's not in the way. Let's see if this magnet is enough to pull that thing out now. No. So I may end up having to just go and do a little bit of oiling and heating to get that to come off. But not really necessary for what I'd like to do next because I'll have to take a little break to do that. So this is the OS prop hub removal tool. This is, apparently they made 2 different sizes, this size and a larger one. These were designed only to fit on OS prop hubs. However, this one seems to have been made with the exact, or at least close enough to the OS prop hub because it fits right on there. Now notice I haven't heated this up at all. And watch how easy this is going to just pull this thing right off of here. This is the most fantastic prop hub removal tool. If you're only doing OS engines that fit in this thing. Now it's got 2 areas, one for really small 2-strokes and then one for a little bit larger one. But I mean, so this prop hub removal tool is just spectacular because A, it's an OS tool, and B, it just works very easily. And I'm at the limit there. So I am at the limit of movement for that. Does this have a? This does have a Woodruff key too. Okay, so there you go. There's the one limit. I bet you I can stick something in there. What can I stick in there to give me a little bit more movement to pull that thing off? What do I have? What do I have here on hand? Maybe the end of this file. So I'm just gonna do this. There we go. And there we have it. Prop hub off. Okay, so I think I'm just going to conclude this portion of the video series right here, because I've got some other things on my plate that I need to get done today. So this is part one of this Magnum XL61RFS refurbishment. Concluding,